여보세요. 감사합니다. 감사합니다. Stray Kids, S-Class. It's been a while since we listened to Stray Kids. It feels like forever. Probably like since Christmas, I think. So, man, let's hear this.
여기서 특별시 수많은 기적을 일으켰지 가려진 별들 사이 떠오르는 특별 별난 것도 소리 변함없지 번화하는 거리 거리거리마다 걸리적거리는 거 Clean it up, get back 검은 먼지를 텅텅 빈 깡통 Kick it Swerving, I'm speeding on certain road Luxurious like I'm an S-Class Best of the best on first class I'm up above the world so high I'll be the shiny day and night They wonder how my spotlight is so bright County stars if you're at better I know that's me in my work 빛깔 번쩍 클래스는 빛깔 번쩍 빛이 번쩍 또 빛나 힙합 스택 큼지막힌 발톱 줄라간 특기 내 집처럼 뜨날까지 특집 작업실은 안 부러워 득실거려 독보적인 특징 들이박 어줌 겸 보는 애들이 번쩍 빛나는 것들만 보면 달려버리시 너 빛나는 것 좀 기분 나는 게 훨씬 번쩍히 편해 Shine like a diamond girl Swerving, I'm speeding on super road Luxurious like I'm an S-Class Best of the best on first class I'm up above the world so high I'll be the shining day and night They wonder how my spotlight is so bright County stars if you're 별난 That's me in my world 빛깔 번쩍 클래스는 빛깔 번쩍 빛이 번쩍 또 빛나는 star Feel like the brightest star 빛이 쏟아지는 밤 하늘을 바라보면 내 모습 수놓아져 있어 yeah 떨어지지 않고 한자리에서 거듭나게 stay hey yeah 빛날 광의 사람은 그게 바로 우리 속의 말 We're special yeah Stray Kids 내 뒤에 팀은 특수 부대 스테이지 위 그 자체로 위가 특별 무대 관중들은 따로 필요 없지 축제 절대 따위 필요 없이 꽃비 불때 Limited edition 이런 것 특별해져 투명하면 분명하게 바꾸고 거듭돼서 you 눈에 띄는 텐션 몰입하는 객소 이 글자 하나 간데 여기 모든 것을 밝혀 Counting stars
So, okay, it's like, is this feels like sort of ramped up 3-Racha production, right? Like this, like it's very Stray Kids, you know what I mean? Like it, like when it gets to that that sort of descending line, the boom 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 boom, like that feels very very Stray Kids, right? But overall, the song is like, it's very progressive. That 90s hip hop section, like right in the middle, you know, I was like, what? Like, this is, it's such a throwback sound. It was really cool to see that, right? The concept of this is also very cool, right? It's this, like, there's a lot of these cultural elements that are in it. You know, you're talking about soul, talking about there's tangible sort of like references in there, like a shiny tin can on the ground, kick it, you know, like in other words, they're trying to highlight certain like experiences or imagery, but then they're also, you know, in other words, like from the street level on up to like the high rises, past, present, future. Like it's, there's this concept that goes through this progressive type of song structure, because there were like people in traditional dress, like these very old style clothes, Korean, what is it, like Joseon era, I think, type of clothing. So it's actually very, very cool, the whole concept of it. But sound wise, I'm just like, it's got that, especially the bass, right? And that once that like chorus part comes around, and it's such a very tight percussive groove that's going on, and it has that descending line. That's like very Stray Kids, right? Like it's very, very Stray Kids. The vocals, also the vocal deliveries are great, man. It's you gotta listen, you know what I mean? Like once you listen, like once you really start to get like familiar with the Stray Kids sound, but it's very good. I like the qualities of the vocals. It's 'cause they're very unique. It's a very unique blend. The access to a lot of lower register, sort of bassier, like vocals and stuff, and they don't, shy away from it or whatever. Like if it's right for the track, if it's the idea, then they'll do it all throughout. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like that's what's cool about Stray Kids, is that they do whatever it is that they want to do. Like it's it's what makes things so interesting. But it's very progressive, right? Like pre-chorus, like the change-ups that happen there. Oh man, it's almost like a medley. There's so much contrast between the sections. It almost feels like you're going to different songs almost, right? Like from verse into the pre-chorus, into the chorus, into a completely throwback second verse sound, and man, it's a crazy eclectic type of song. The whole structure of it and everything. I was listening for this, like this little motive that's in the whistle part. I didn't catch it, but maybe I can, because I'm like, I'm expecting it to come up again, like at a certain part. It's, oh man, that's almost like an old school jazz type of a, like it. But the tempo change, right? The delivery on it, the different type of rhythm. So it's a bit more of a modern kind of a take. But I'm listening for this motive to come back again. So the opening there was almost like a fanfare, right? Like it was a massive bass sound that was going on. In the right ear, there's a very high-pitched winds sound, and I don't know what kind of instrument it is. It sounds much more traditional just because by nature of it being a wind sound, but it's playing a very flourishy type of fill almost there, and what a strange spread of sounds. That's very Stray Kids, right? Like it's a blend of these different sounds that's totally just like unexpected, but there's a massive almost like a fanfare, and then the shift into this, it's almost minimalist, right, at the start, like so much. Okay, see, this is what I'm talking about, right? over here on the left side, this traditional sort of dress, right, that's going on. For some reason, there's one of the Royal British Guards on a horse. I don't know. The guy carrying the wedding cake over here, and it's this street level shot, or like it's like a cartoon, right? It's like an anime, or it's like it's such a wild out there type of a production, right? But it's a cool blend. And that's a lot of like what the sound is also, right? Like all these different elements are, all blended together to create this type of scene, this type of vibe or whatever.
Clean it up, get back. Kick it. Swerving, I'm speeding on Serpent Road. Luxurious like I'm in S-Class. Best of the best on first class.
So see, like, hold on. I gotta go back because there's so much going on here, man.
Get back. Kick it.
Almost like staccato, right, throughout this verse section here. Like there's so much space in between everything. A very specific production on the vocals as well, like the compression for the part right before this, right, which is it's like fitted for that particular line, just to change up the feel of it, and then it lets off, and it's completely back to sort of what it's set at for this part, and then going into this sort of pre-chorus section. Is it I think this is pre-chorus, right? Serpent Road, is that a real road? Like, it probably is, right? There probably is a Serpent Road. And the change in the vocal register also, like going up, he's hitting the falsetto range, right? And then sort of this descending line. These massive drum hits, like the bass is doing this, it's keeping that rhythm locked in as it's moving through the chord progression there. And then there are these like really, really massive drum hits that have a ton of reverb on them. I'm up above the world so high, I'll be the shiny day and night. They wonder how my spotlight is so bright. Oh, that's kind of it right there, right? Isn't that whistle motive from the beginning? Or perhaps a take on that. But what was it? There's a rhythm instrument sound that comes in there that really starts to give it a lot of color. Like the bass is still there, the drums are still doing what they're doing. Very staccato, with a lot of space in between that. But the rhythm part that comes in, and then also this vocal melody line that's going on over it, all of a sudden starts to give it all this color. It's a complete shift, man, from the verse, which has all this space in it, sort of remains kind of dark, and then into the beginning of the sort of pre-chorus section with that higher range vocal line that's coming down, and that bass, that driving sort of tight rhythms, groupings in the bass. It's almost like double stops, like little double stop pairings. Very like noir, very dark, and then all of a sudden, the way it shifts there, it brightens up the entire sound of it. Like everything becomes much brighter and almost warm. And then drops it down into this, with this 808 bass that's going off, and this very snappy type of percussion. Like, I don't even think, it's not even like a snare hit, right? and it's very syncopated rhythm down on 16th note subdivision. It's like this wildly shifting. Like, man, it's you barely have like time to really latch onto like the groove in one of these sections, and it just spins it around completely, like it totally flips everything on you, and it goes into some other direction. Man, it's wild. This right here. The turntable scratches. I mean, like that little section right there feels very, very Stray Kids. But man, this descending vocal line, the bass, like the bass sound, you know what I mean? This the way that the production on that, it makes it so huge, man, so massive. Just, man, like it never stops. Like and perhaps that's ties into the concept as well, right? Like it's really interesting. And then this. So that's also, you know, like it's an example of like a very romantic style of songwriting as well, right? Because along with the sort of progressive type of song structure, because you know, these are callbacks to like very specific eras, very, very specific sounds, right? And it even said, you know, like I take these big hip hop steps. I mean, you know, it's so, along with the concept of referencing soul, you know, all of this is very much trying to tell a story, right? Of kind of like their influences, their motivations, their experiences, and how they're rooted in, you know, the areas like soul, like where they go to work to create their music and everything, and this is a wild song, man.
Luxurious like I'm in S-class, best of the best on first class. I'm up above the world, so high I'll be the shining
Piano.
at night. They wonder how my spotlight is so.
So like the percussion, the drum almost takes on like a drum line sound there, like, and then there's piano that comes in, filling in the rhythm chords, you know. Again, that the color totally changed there, but it was much cooler this time around. Like a little bit less warm, more blues sounding, more like cool, sort of fresh, right? But even the shift coming out of that 90s hip hop type of sound that was like down tempo, even from this, as soon as you come back to this section, the bass that shifts the tempo up again. Man, this is like it feels like a medley, like the contrast in all of the mix. Like, it isn't, you know, that like one part starts doing something different or whatever, but you still have the same like instrument plug in, or like no, it's completely different. Like from one section into the next one, the mix is not even the same plugins. It's not even the same sounds. Like it's gone completely somewhere else.
That's me. 번쩍 빛깔 번쩍 개클래스는 춤 빛깔 번쩍 빛깔 번쩍 빛이 번져 또 빛나는 star Feel like the brightest star
Bridge.
쏟아지는 밤 하늘을 바라보면 내 모습 수놓아져 있어 yeah yeah
So the first of all, that sort of hook section there, the chorusy section with the choreo and all that, really awesome, like percussive groove, and it's so tight, like like I said, paired with that descending vocal line that's going on, like that's very, very Stray Kids, right? And it's cool. Moving into this bridge section again, we sort of changed up the tempo a little bit. The percussion is like it's very strong. It's actually very big, right? Like there's so much reverb on it, and those aren't necessarily like it's like bass drum sounds, but you know, almost to a march type of rhythm. And the way it's paired up with these piano chords, though, these piano chords seem again like jazz or something, it's such a eclectic mashup and mix of different sounds and styles, and the fact that any of it even works together is like, it's insane, man. It's just, there's a bit of insanity to this, but that's what makes it good. Like that's what gives it its character and its quality and everything. The fact that drum sound is engineered in a way that doesn't completely overpower and drown out the piano chords that are going on alone is that takes work, man, like to balance those things so well in the mix. And then also this vocal delivery over it,
빛이 번져 또 빛나는 star Feel like the brightest star 빛이 쏟아지는 밤 하늘을 바라보면 내 모습 수놓아져 있어 yeah yeah 떨어지지 않고 한자리에서 거듭나게 stay hey yeah 빛날 광의 사람은
oh, there's synth horns now too. Da da da. I'm picking it up mostly in the right, but there's a horn sound that comes in too. It's like a lot of this mix is actually very classical sounding, you know, like you're singling out these different instrument sounds, and a lot of the styles that are incorporated here, this type of easy jazz type of like really cool sounding stuff that is not as intense, and some of these different instrumental sounds that are going on. So like again, all this anachronistic elements, it's like everything all at the same time is basically like the idea behind it, or you know, like what informs it. It's like it's like, okay, what is this song gonna be? Everything. Like, what do you mean everything? Well, kind of like, you know, everything, like all styles, all times, all like, you know, everything. And it's like, oh, okay, I get it. Everything. It's quite an ambitious production. Like to pull this off takes a lot of confidence. You know what I mean? But that's what's cool about Stray Kids. Is like they just do whatever they want to do.
We're special, yeah.
See? Like out of that bridge section with these really comfortable vocal, like the first phrase there, the first half of it, the vocal delivery, like the range was that very comfortable, you know, chest voice range or whatever. Not doing anything dramatic in the dynamics, but very, very comfortable, matching that piano sound actually really well. A little bit stronger, a little bit higher pitch on the second half, but then going out of that into this like noir electronic, you know, like bass heavy type of sound with these like the vocals here, like, right, it's the rap styling now, and it's almost like barked, almost like the delivery on it, you know. It's got a little grit, it's got a lot of bass. It's like the change up is just wild. The contrast is like so intense. It's so intense. The bass, it's played like that was so awesome. Hold on. That's wild. That's wild. That is wild, dude. That's like I'm saying. That's everything. Who's what I go? Okay, well, what's the concept of the song? Oh, it's everything. That's wild. It's so progressive with such strong contrast between each section that it feels almost like a medley of songs, of different songs. So not like it's not light work to pull off the transitions between all of these different sounds and styles and everything. The really thoughtful, like intense level of work that goes into the production, being able to balance out these like wildly different sounds, from traditional classical sounding instrumental parts to synth and electronic sounding, drums and bass, 90s hip hop to, well, I mean, like it's just like a very colorful, right? It's extremely colorful, and it just swings and jumps and rolls and bounces into all different types of areas and all these different types of sounds, and it's intense. Like, this is intense. Even just listening to it is like really, it's just incredibly engaging, but it's quite intense, man. But it's like very Stray Kids, right? Like, this is what they do, and since they sit down to handle their production work, I mean, that's at the crux of it. It's like, how deep are you willing to go? Like how, you know what I mean? You gotta write the songs. You gotta do the vocals. You gotta work on the choreography. So how much time, right? Like, how much time can you put into the production work, right? And their ability to do that is what makes for that signature Stray Kids sound and style and everything, and it's what affords them the type of freedom to do something crazy like this, right? Like, to do something that's just completely nuts. Like, there's the stuff that I have heard, you know what I mean? Like, Case 143 has some similar qualities. The different styles and the transitions from section to section, but it has a more of a streamlined sort of continuity to it, and a lot of very familiar sounds and rhythms and parts that come back and bring you back around to. But this, there's it's mainly the pre-chorus and the chorus, but even when it comes back around to those sections, it's not the same. Like the idea, the main sort of patterns underneath it, but the choices for the instrument voicings in the mix, even probably very specific production aspects, like how much reverb is on this, how is this EQ'd, delay, how like it's different. It's not the same just because it comes back around to that pre-chorus part. Like there's something that has changed up from the first time it appears in the song to the next time that it appears in the song, and it's the level of specificity is so incredibly high. It's a demanding thing, and so it's impressive. Like it really is. It's an impressive thing to pull off. And this is what it's what sort of defines like Stray Kids, particular sort of unique qualities. It's definitely a grind to try and pull off something like this. But that's man, it's a wild song, man. It's very cool. It's very fun. It's very engaging. In it's pretty much throughout the whole thing. It doesn't really let you get comfortable or settle, or you know what I mean. Like it just the way it shifts from one thing to the next thing. Like it's very, very driving. But at the same time, like when it comes around to the second verse and you get that throwback 90s hip hop, like that is such a perfectly done groove, right? When they introduce that styling and everything, it's all that. When it changes up to the Brit, like in other words, they go all in on what this section is supposed to be, and it's quite necessary. Like if you're going to do it, you can't do it halfway. Like you have to go in completely, all the way, man, all the way. And then when it's time to shift again and change up and transition to the next section, again, it's got to be all in. You can't hold anything back. You can't wait. You can't be off by even a half beat or whatever. Like it's got to be all in completely. And so in that regard, it's quite impressive. It's a fun song, man. It's really fun. It's so wildly progressive and eclectic, and it feels like a medley of several different songs. But I think that's the part of the underlying concept, is what it's trying to express, is this idea that encompasses like everything. It's a story that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it's very much like that sort of epic hero's journey type of story. So it's going to take you everywhere. It's going to show you all these different settings and landscapes and events and you know what I mean. It's the kind of thing that Stray Kids does, and it's very fun. It's they did something like very, very, very fun, very cool, and very much just what they wanted to do, and that's what it means, like, to be Stray Kids, right? Like they do whatever it is that they want to do, because they're willing to go all in on it.